Good afternoon and welcome to episode 163 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. We are here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon for live coverage of two fantastic graded stake races at Saratoga, the Grade 1 Vanderbilt and the Grade 2 Jim Dandy. It's already been a fantastic day at Saratoga, and the best is yet to come here in the next hour. Please make sure you subscribe there on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Folks, we need to raise those subscriptions. The only way that we can bring to these live shows and other great piece of information like the Race Day blog and have fantastic guests is for you to subscribe. So if you're watching and you've not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do that. Also hit that notification bell, which will tell you when new content will arise on the show, such as this live podcast. Then smash that thumbs up button also. We greatly appreciate it. That will tell YouTube analytics that the HHH Racing Podcast is a great show to watch. Of course, you can reach me on Twitter at HKravitz. I've been very active today on Twitter, and also hkravitzhorse at gmail.com. My co-hosts Pete Visco and Paul Halloran will be in and out on today's show. So we're not going to bring them on this very moment. It will be me for a decent amount of the show, but we hope to have Pete and Paul intertwined within the show as well. A few quick reminders. Of course, you can follow us through audio platforms on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. We have a Race Day blog that many of you know about. If you don't know about it, it's been excellent today. We just had a winner with Mr. Chairman at a solid 2-1. Had the exacta there as the top two choices on the blog, 5-2. Also had an exacta in the first race day that paid $28, I believe, for 2. My play of the day, Big Bobby, ran just fine as I thought he might, finish a solid third. And the dollar try paid $990. I know Brad Anderson, my good buddy Brad Anderson, had that try, which you can find on Twitter. He keyed, again, one of my favorite vertical plays, keying a long shot underneath in second and third in the try, back wheeling, and it worked out. So hopefully you'll do that. Also, we have a podcast pool, which I will be emailing information to many of you. All of you that are on the email list will receive that, especially those of you that are part of the podcast pool in June. You'll receive that tomorrow through an email. So Sunday, check that out as well. I think it's a good time to bring in one of my co-hosts here. I see in the green room. Looks like he's about ready to go. So let's bring in one of my co-hosts. He is from the Saratoga Special. I'm sure he's been watching the races already today. Let's bring him in. Also author of a fantastic article that you can find about myself and the show. So again, thanks to Paul for that. Let's bring him on right now from the Saratoga Special, Paul Halloran. Paul, how's Saratoga going for you today so far?
Actually, Howard, that last race was the first winner I have had. So I'm hoping to be hot late.
Okay. Well, I'm alive to the pick 5 to Jackie's Warrior, the middle pick 5, for 465. Full disclosure, I would take it. I was hoping to beat the Chad Brown two races back, but it was one of those to Chad or not to Chad, and I used him defensively, and pick 5 would have blown up a lot bigger than that. But listen, I'll take it. So now I'm alive to Jackie's Warrior, and I feel weird, Paul, because I sort of wouldn't mind seeing an upset. I actually do have in the late pick 5. I do have Willie's Boy as a backup. That's the only backup I have. Before we get into a lot of other things, Paul, just out of curiosity, how'd you play this pick 5 yourself? I'm assuming you're alive to any bets you have.
Yeah, I used the 5 as a lone A in that race.
Okay.
I used a couple of Bs and 3 Cs. This race, I have Jackie as a lone A, and I used the 2 and 3 as Cs only. And in the next race, I have as my A's Epicenter and Zandon. And I actually have early voting as a B and Tawny Port as a C. And then in the last 2 legs, I have 2 A's in each leg with some backups.
All right. So it looks like you've got some good coverage here. Let me switch the background to something a little bit
I
different here.
forgot about the middle pick 5, Howard. I think I got
Yeah,
knocked
they've
out in the
got that
third leg.
mandatory. I decided to. I dig in the hat, by the way. And I got a Saratoga hat number 2. I told you I went a
I
little nuts
have
there at
that shirt,
Saratoga.
Howard. I have a black polo shirt with that exact design.
By the way, I got this. You know where I got this from? Impressions of Saratoga. Good call, Paul. Thank you very much.
It's a great
Listen, we got
place.
a lot of people. Let's see who's on the show here right now. We've got Christine Races watching right now. I'm not familiar with this person, Clausi. Um, I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but whoever this is, thanks for joining the show. You look like you might be new. We got Horsey Davis here, who is live at Saratoga. Paul, we got someone who's watching. I love this. They're at Saratoga
Nice.
watching the show. Beautiful from Section F, Row J. So Horsey Dave, hope you're enjoying yourself. Looks like an absolutely gorgeous day there. A lot cooler, Paul, than it looked last weekend, and I can tell because the crowd on the apron is much bigger than it was last weekend. Obviously, there's some bigger races, but the weather is obviously much better. Brad Anderson, there he is, Big Bobby. Great job, Brad Anderson. Hit that dollar try for 900 plus. We got Val Places here. Hey, Philly Joe Metka. Joe, how you doing, buddy? Another one of my traveling buddies from Saratoga last week. Joe, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. We got David Lupo here. Tom Espinoza. We got a lot of people here, Paul. So, Paul, I know you're going to be sort of in and out today. Just I already told the viewers.
Yep.
I believe Pete's going to be here. I don't see him yet. Maybe I misunderstood, but
I yeah, I thought he
he's
was not.
he's not. Okay, so it'll be just Paul and myself, and sometimes just myself. But that's okay. So let me just set the stage for everyone, Paul. We do these live
Yep.
shows once in a while. We're going to be doing another one for the Travers, but the Travers Day one actually will be live from the OTB in Villa Park called Crazy Pour, the Crazy Pour OTB. And if I may, Paul, just want to bring up something because the promotional. Let me just, as I'm talking, I'm getting it up on the screen. The promotional poster, sorry, just came out for that through Hawthorne. Let me get it up
I
on the
saw it.
screen right here.
I
Just
saw it.
yeah, I put it out on Twitter. Also, let me just share this real quick, and then we already get into the races. Everyone, don't worry about it. But they're up. Oh, we got a little tech issue. All right, it's acting up a little bit. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll get it up in the screen. But anyway, I'm going to stop sharing and try again. Let me try one more time here. That happens sometimes. I don't. There we go. So there it is. If you are in the Chicago area at all, the HHH Racing Podcast, myself, as you can see on the screen there, Matt Miller, we will be doing a live show on Travers Day at the Club Hawthorne in Villa Park, which is called Crazy Pour. It's $35. By the way, this money goes to Hawthorne. This money does not go into the pockets of myself and Matt Miller, just to let you know. But it's 35 bucks. You get appetizers, a race program, and then you get to hear Matt and I chop up pretty much the late pick 4, late pick 5 on Travers Day, and Matt and I get to bet $1,000 and we all share in the winnings. So it's sort of similar to the podcast pool, except that's just for one day. If you're in the area at all and you'd like to find out about the podcast pool, go to hawthorneracehorse.com. You can see at the bottom of the screen. We'd love to see you there. Again, this is a live show. We'll be at the OTB live. This is really a cool thing. I'm really excited about it, Paul. First live appearance. Hopefully, we can make some people some money on Travers Day. Paul, let's get into the Vanderbilt here. Now, I'm looking at my phone here. We've got looks like 11 minutes. Is that what you see? I see about 10 minutes, 11 minutes to post. Is that about what you see there?
Where are we?
Somewhere
Hold
out there.
on.
So as we're getting ready for that, we just want to make clear to everyone. We know that the Big Fox Network, is covering these two races. I've got no problem if you want to put it on, but do us a favor. Turn on Fox and then just mute it, right? Turn off the volume. You can watch what's going on there, and you can listen to Paul and I talk about these races, give our live reaction, etc. Now, I do not have broadcasting rights to Naira or to Fox, of course. So we're not actually going to be showing the races live, but what we're going to be doing is talking about the races as they go on. I have a screen on the to the right of me. I have a screen. I'm sure Paul has another screen or laptop or whatever available, and we're going to be commentating and talking about the races as they happen. Now, I'm also fully aware, and I think some of you know this, there's approximately a 6 to 8 second delay, which means as I'm talking right now, whatever's happening in real time has already happened. So when Paul and I say the horses are loading into the gate and they're about to go off for the race, they might actually have already gone off. So as you're watching the races at home, you're going to be ahead of what Paul and I see. But that's okay. It'll be fun. You can get our reaction. And again, just turn off Fox with the audio and listen to us. Paul, we're going to bring up the Equibase entries here and the PPs, and we'll talk about the Vanderbilt. Obviously, the story here is Jackie's Warrior. Let me go ahead and bring up the screen here right now. There it is. All right, we got the Vanderbilt. Of course, it's happening in approximately 10 minutes to post. It's a small field of 6. It's 6 furlongs, $350,000. Winning, you're in. It's a grade 1. Of course, Paul, the big story is Jackie's Warrior. We're going to assume that that some people did not see our show Thursday night. So we'll talk for about 5 minutes about this race. I'll bring up the PPs. Paul, why don't you talk about your feelings of this race? Jackie's Warrior, the obvious monster, and probably what 95% of the people have this horse singled in their pick 5, I would assume.
Yeah, it's a case of, anything can happen and they have to run the race. But as we talked the other night, Howard, on our show, it's not like Jackie's Warrior is up against, an Aloha West or, another top level sprinter. I mean, the horse from Gulfstream's in good form. New York Traffic is definitely a better one-turn horse. We talked about that. So if he's going to stumble, that could be it. But he looks tough to beat here.
Yeah. Now, from a wagering standpoint, because we have to talk about vertical wagers here. Um, is this a race that you're just gonna let's put us on screen and talk about this, Paul? Is this a race? Obviously, you can't put a. Well, I suppose you could put a win bet on Jackie's War, but who in their right mind would do that? Paul, how would you play this vertically? Would you just cold punch an exacta? There's no show betting here. I'm sure the bridge. There could be some place bridge jumpers. Is this a race you would just watch, or do you actually have a betting strategy vertically in this race, Paul?
Yeah, well, I'm going to watch. Being alive in the pick 5. If I were going to play it vertically, I would punch 4-3. Period.
Okay.
I think that's really the only. Well, let me say this: if you're playing it vertically, I would also, if I were going to look to play a double, obviously another cold punch, I would be going to my friend Zandon, who you badmouthed on the air the other night, and he and I,
Oh, I don't
he
know
and I
about
have
that.
talked about it, and Mr. Brown's aware of it, and we'll see what happens.
Is he really? You contacted Chad and told him that I have a
No, but
theory.
I'll tell you what,
Is that what you
I
want everyone
will.
to believe out there in TV land?
Well, be careful. I could when I see him on Wednesday. So you just be
You
careful there,
could.
Howard.
Well, give Mr. Brown my best regards.
Boy, I'll tell you, you were
Listen,
right about that one, Howard, being an underlay, that Maud horse. But boy, his horses just find a way to get there, don't they?
they really. I mean, it was a slow pace too. I thought I was in trouble. I had 4 horses
And not a
in
great
my.
trip, right? Not.
I had 4 horses in my pick 5, and of course they were walking on the lead again. And I thought that I don't know why the 9 was like 3 lengths off the pace when they were going 49. Anyway, whole other discussion. I was afraid I was going to lose with the what was it the 2 I think on the lead, and just Ira knew what he had. But anyway, let's get back to this race. In my opinion, I talked about this on the show. I'm not going to say Jackie's Warrior is vulnerable. That sounds stupid, but there is other speed in this race. Knee deep in snow is fast. A 123 early time form really only knows one way to go. You have to believe Santana is just going to send, right? Now, the horse that I really want to talk about, which could have an effect on the race, and I talked about this Thursday. And by the way, we've got a lot of people watching live, Paul. Thanks to everyone watching live on YouTube and on Twitter. Please put your comments in the top right-hand side of the screen, whether you've seen the show, whether you're new to the show. We have live comments on the top right-hand corner, only on YouTube. You got me on YouTube to get live comments. Put those comments up and we will react to them. But I talked about Dr. Abster on the show Thursday. And the reason I did is he's trained by Jorge Delgado, and he's very fast early. People are thinking, Howard, he's way too slow. He can't win. I agree. But my personal choice in this race, or at least for second, Willie Boy, the 2, is also trained by Delgado. Now, Paul, I don't know their strategy. I mean, Jackie's Warrior obviously can take pace pressure and win a race. I mean, he's proved it before. So I'm not suggesting that Doc Amster is going to create Jackie to lose, but it sure seems like Jackie's just not going to get completely loose in this race, right or wrong.
Possibly. Yeah. I think he's going to get loose at some point. Maybe not in the first 2 furlongs, but
Okay.
remember, he he sat off Life is Good, as you recall, and that was an odd ride by Mike Smith. He brought Life is Good back, and
Odd. That's like the iceberg comment you made about Thursday. Anyway, we digress.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So I don't think Joel is going to be on a suicide mission, but um, I also think he's bright enough to know that those 2 horses that are going to potentially be in front of him aren't going to beat him. So even if he's behind those 2, he's still looking at Willie Boy and Long Range Toddy, who hasn't won in quite a long time. So
Yeah.
hey, look, they got to run the race. It's Saratoga. It's a good race to watch, and as I say, it's early in the pick 5, but I am alive with a lone A in the first leg. So I will just and if he does stumble, I have 2 C's here that would let me go 2 by 2 the rest of the way.
Vale Place has got the right idea. He's got Fox on, but he's got the earplug on us. Perfect. That's exactly what we're talking about, Vale. Appreciate that. So I'm looking at my other screen now here. I want to put it up here. So I see 2 now. Again, even watching on
3
the computer,
minutes. I got it on TV, Howard. They're in commercial. I have a TV on as
I got
well.
2 minutes. I actually got 2 minutes on. I'm watching this through the DRF bets feed. I've got 2 minutes. Again, the timing's not going to be exact. Paul and I might actually. Paul, are you watching on TV or are you watching on a
Yes,
computer?
TV.
TV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because I don't want to, we should be trying. Ideally, we should. I don't know if you have this capability or not, Paul. And if you don't, that's fine. I don't have a TV in my study here where I'm watching, and so although I could put it on, I'll tell you what. As we're talking, you said you're watching on TV, right?
I am.
Is that right, Paul? All right. Here's what I'm gonna
Yes.
do. Paul, why don't you go ahead and talk about the pace complexion in this race just for a minute again? Maybe New York traffic you can touch on while I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get the TV here on the internet. So we're actually watching at the same time. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little weird. So what about New York traffic here? Has been very good sprinting. Listen, I mean, he can certainly get a piece of this, right?
Yeah, and Safi Joseph had a winner earlier in the card. Um, he has kind of woken up a little bit, so cross traffic is proven to be a good sire, especially of New York breds. I love seeing certainly as someone who covers New York breds, we love seeing a New York bred taking a swing like this. Again, I think that's the most likely if Jackie stumbles and stubs his toe. I could see New York traffic sitting. I would think Irad is going to keep Joel right, not let him get too far away, and maybe hopefully take a run at him in the last 16th. New York traffic has run routes. Obviously, ran in the Kentucky Derby 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
they started shortening. They after that season. He didn't run after the Preakness. Of course, the Preakness was in October. Thank you, COVID. They came right back at 7. Came right back after about an 8-month layoff and
Yeah.
right to 7 furlongs. So,
Paul, by the way, we have over 100 people watching on YouTube right now and many more watching on Twitter. Great follow. We really appreciate everyone watching the HHH Racing Podcast live. Now, Paul, here's what I want you to do. Go look at your TV. Tell me exactly what you see because I want to see. Right now, I see Joel Rosario. They're doing like they have
right,
Joel Rosario.
Maggie, dead on to Maggie right now on horseback.
You got Maggie on horseback. Okay, so I'm on. Okay, right now they just switched to Jackie's Warrior. So I'm
Yeah,
again. You're
you're
watching on
close.
actual. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's pretty close.
Okay, now I see Maggie. So here's the situation. Because you're watching on live network TV, and I'm actually watching on the internet through my provider, I'm actually a few seconds behind you. So what we're going to do, Paul, is I'm going to commentate the race, and you can sort of piggyback off me. You're going to be about 2 seconds ahead, Paul, and everyone else is going to be about 6 seconds ahead. So, folks, we anticipate this. We fully realize that this is going to happen again. We don't have broadcast rights for Naira or for Fox, so I can't legally. I could probably show and not get in trouble, but I prefer not to risk that. So when they break, Paul, you're going to be actually ahead of me. So I guess we have a choice, but I'm going to go ahead and commentate. But again, you'll know a little bit ahead of myself what's
Yeah,
going
I
on.
think most
Uh,
people who are watching us, Howard, have a TV on somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, and I apologize to everyone. I don't. I'm watching this through the internet. I see Safi now on screen, who's got New York traffic. Looks a little anxious. You can't blame him for that. It's about post time, folks. Again, the race is going to happen. Uh, you know, for on your end, ladies and gentlemen, before it happens on our end. We fully realize that. I personally need Jackie's Warrior for $465 pick five. So I definitely want Jackie's Warrior to win. Although it'd be cool to me if Willie Boy wins. Right now, if I can get it in, I'm cold punching a 4-2 exacta right now on my phone. If I can get it in here, okay, I got it in. So that's my play here, 4-2. I'm not getting cute. Final as they're going to the gate here. What's again your final vertical play in this race, Paul?
4-3.
Okay, so Paul's going 4-3. And as I said on my blog, I'm going to do a very small win bet on the two just in case he wins. I do have the two also as an extreme backup in my pick five. And if you're wondering, why isn't Howard looking at the camera? Because I'm on my phone betting. That's what I'm doing.
Steve
All right.
Steve Asmussen is in his familiar place down around the eighth pole, down on the rail with the
Yep.
fins.
I've got the three about going. And again, I'm assuming everyone at home, they're almost all in the gate. So good luck to
They're all in.
everyone they're all in. Good luck to everyone in the grade one Vanderbilt. Paul is going to be sort of piggybacking off of my commentary. I believe the one or especially the six is going to show a lot of speed. We'll see what happens. Paul's like, I already know what's going to happen because the start probably just happened. On my end, the six is going in the gate. And here we go. It's a grade one Amsterdam, which already has gone off on your end. We're live here on the HHH Racing Podcast. Saratoga, fantastic races today. All right, so looks like a pretty clean break. The one did not get off great, but the outside horse, yeah. So Doc Amster's absolutely gunning. Jackie's Warrior is fine. He's second. This is about what I thought. We talked about this, Paul. That Doc Amster was just absolutely going. Jackie's Warrior just got into the two path on my end. Willie's Boy is in a very good spot also. Jackie looks very confident, just in hand. 22 and 2, not that fast. I'm expecting Jackie to blow by the 6 at any time. Willie Boy is following Jackie. I sort of like my 4-2 possibility right now. Jackie's just cruising in hand, not even being asked. It blows by, and here comes the rest of the horses. It looks like Jackie again in hand. Willie's Boy, they're all going a little bit wide. Let's see if Willie Boy can get in second here
Wow.
for my exacta. Jackie's, this thing looks like it's over. I know it's probably over for you, Coach. Come on with this two for a second. No, it looks like knee deep in the snow is going to get second on the outside. And yep. All right. Oh my goodness. Look at this hand ride on Jackie. Oh my Lord. 109 and 3 in hand, Paul, as easy as possible. Doc Amster did what I thought, but
There's
had
Sean.
zero.
There's Sean Clancy walking with Mr. Asmussen.
Oh yes, there he is.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Hey Sean, I just saw you last
The
week. No.
special. We get behind this. We're in the trenches at the Saratoga Special, Howard.
Shout out to Seth Merrow, who was on our show, by the way, on Thursday, and said he would cold punch either 4-1 or 4-2. Seth, if you're listening or if you listen to this, I hope you had that one at 22-1. By the way, I've never seen Deep in Snow close ever in his life, so I don't know if that was planned or not, Paul. But I have no shame in my 4-2 pick. I mean, Willie Boy ran fine. He was never getting to Jackie. No one was. He finished a solid. I think he got third, right? A solid third.
Yeah,
Paul,
the three ran awful, but it doesn't matter. Howard, I'm going to be Thursday morning watching workouts at the Oklahoma and the main track, and you're going to see horses ask for more in workouts than you just saw on a Grade One race on national TV. This is a really, really special horse. I don't care what's in the field. I don't want to hear about how soft he does what he has to do with the Breeders' Cup being an exception.
I mean, he was unbelievable. They're interviewing Joel right now. So I don't know. I'm sure he's saying wonderful things. I'll tell you what I really like about this effort, Paul, is we've seen him rate, but not maybe as effectively as this. Now again, this was a weak ass field. We all know that. No disrespect to the rest of the horses, but the way this horse is relaxing now, I mean, if he can do that, he might not lose the rest of his career. And I'm not even joking, however long that lasts. Now, again, it was a soft field. I love the way he rated. I think the key was getting him to the outside. Now, if he was on the inside, he probably would have won anyway. But Joel just gave him a perfect ride. It's almost as if, Paul, they knew that Doc Amster was just going to gun and he was going to come around. Like it almost seemed like they knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, I just think they were totally unconcerned with what the other horses were going to do.
That's fair.
Honestly. And you saw Joel going into the turn. He was inside the six at one point, and then he just said, "You know what? Screw this. I'm just going to get this horse in the clear, go by when I want." And I would tell you, this horse he could run in the nightcap tonight. It's just
Well,
veiled places, right? Rosario never ever asked this horse, not at any point.
Well, I accidentally joked on the show Thursday they could run in the Jim Dandy. I'll tell you what, he probably could run in 25 minutes an hour and at least be a factor for 6 furlongs. Again, they're showing the
Yeah, showing
replay.
the replay. Yeah, the six
Go ahead.
goes, and Jackie outbreaks everyone else, and Joel has Jackie inside, and then he makes a very quick move to the outside. Because he might have figured, the six could have done a little race riding if he was inside the
Yeah.
six going into the turn with the six having a a barn mate in the race. So Joel said, "I'm not even going to chance it." Now Joel is looking behind him, and he might as well be looking at the people standing on the turn because they have a better chance of catching him than those
Now, see,
horses.
he
So
did
this
the Paco
this is a
look back,
special
but he did
horse.
it. But he did it at the right time, Paul. He did the Paco look back about 200 yards from the wire. That's when you look back, not on the freaking turn when you got horses coming after you. Um,
Yeah, no, this
I,
is this is a special horse.
Paul, you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of great horses as the Asmussen family is looking on very proudly, as they should, from the winner's circle. I mean, it's a shame that he couldn't get it done in the Breeders' Cup last year. He's going to be one of the big favorites again in the Breeders' Cup this year. Um, I'm going to throw a good question out to Paul. If let's say he goes the rest, let's say he just goes undefeated this year. He'll go in what I don't know where he's going to go next, but let's say he just runs the table and wins the Breeders' Cup. Why can't this be your horse of the year, or maybe should be the horse of the year?
Oh, I would agree. Someone lost a shoe in the race. A lot's going to depend
Oh,
on
you're right.
what happens with the 3-year-olds and in the classic. Obviously, the classic winner has a leg up. But if they keep alternating who wins those races, then I would say it's hard for a sprinter to win that. Um,
Yeah, it is.
but let's see. He's got uh, probably one more, and then the Breeders' Cup. So
Yeah.
let's just see. I assume it's going to be the Forgo, but we shall see. And I think I heard this is the fourth graded stakes he's won at Saratoga, I believe.
It's the
Fifth,
third. So
fifth.
he just did something that no other horse has ever done in the history of Saratoga. We sort of buried the lead. He is now a 3-time Grade One winner, Paul, in 3 different years at
Yeah.
Saratoga. That has never happened before at Saratoga, which is an incredible accomplishment. And also, one little side note that I just want to mention about Jackie's Warrior, which a lot of people don't know, but I've sort of find very, very cool selfishly. When Jackie's Warrior won, and I got to look at all of his lines, when he won in Saratoga as Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, I'm looking at something else here. When he won as a 2-year-old, trying to think of the race. What is it? The Hopeful, maybe? I got to look at
No, it
all
was
the.
The Saratoga Special. Oddly enough.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta hide the works. I know you don't know what I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. I want all lines. Okay. When Jackie's Warrior won, I gotta find the race though. Yeah. When he won the Saratoga Special on August 7th of 2020, I picked him as he was, by the way, only 3-1, and he had a barn mate. I don't know the name, but I have to look it up. He had a barn mate that was actually I'll look it up right now. He had a barn mate that was favored in that race.
Yep,
um
I covered
it
that
was
race.
Cazadero was the favorite in that race. I'm looking right now at 8-5, and I picked Jackie's Warrior instead because he was outworking him, blah blah blah. And where did I pick this horse? I picked this horse in Matt Bernier's Friday uh, uh, sort of contest, and Jackie's Warrior, Paul, allowed me to get for the first time ever on Matt Bernier's show, and the rest is history. So
The
I do
rest
have
is
a little bit of
history.
a soft spot. I do have a soft spot in my heart for Jackie's Warrior. We're going to show the replay. And Paul, I don't know if you can do this or not. It's hard for me to do this and talk. But once in a while, Paul, if you could go onto YouTube, and once this video, just type in Vanderbilt Stakes or whatever. And once this replay comes up, we will show the replay and talk a little more about this race. As Paul's looking at YouTube, because usually like people put it on YouTube right away. As Paul's looking to that, a few other things I wanted to announce, and I put this on the it was on the rolling banner here. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, I am very happy to announce, and I put this out on Twitter, Paul. I'm very happy to announce this Wednesday night, as everyone's sitting down, this Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, the incomparable, unbelievable, incredible racetrack announcer, perhaps the best ever, Tom Durkin, will be right here live on the HHH Racing Podcast this Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, again, if you are a big fan of horse racing, you are not going to miss this show next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tom Durkin will be here live on the show. Um, Paul, let's do this because we have about a good, probably a good 25 minutes to post here to the Jim Dandy. By the way, the race is official. I have not seen prices yet, although I'm sure most people have seen prices yet.
35 minutes, Howard. 35.
Oh, they're putting extra time. Okay,
They're
35 minutes. We
milking
got
it for
plenty of time.
Fox. Yeah, they're milking it for
Yeah,
Fox.
right. Well, that's cool. So there are plenty of things that I want to talk about with you, Paul. Other than, of course, the great Tom Durkin.
Howard, I am gonna have to hop out at some point, and I'll hop back in at some point,
No problem. Just give me a
as I
heads up when you're at.
mentioned. But
Are you going to hop
yep,
out now? Okay.
within the next
So
5 minutes. Yeah,
okay, no, just hop out. Just hop when you have to
yep,
hop. No problem.
got it.
Paul, before you have to hop, then let's just bring this up very quickly. I want to talk about Arturius yesterday in the Jim Dandy. I'm going to show the replay. I thought actually we're going to show the back half of the replay. If you have like 1 minute to
Yep.
stick on here, I'm going to do it without the volume here. Okay, without the volume. Sorry. Arturius is the 9 right here on the Judmont. I thought this horse was super impressive, Paul. We're not going to see the break. He broke from the 9. He broke well. He got in front of a Creative Minister, who's the 7. Got to the inside. Paul, you can take it from here. This was a really.
This is going to hit him right between the eyes. But just watch what after he gets the lead, and he's being asked. He gets hit there a little bit, but just watch him draw away in this Curlin Stakes. Now, this was a race for horses who had not won a graded stakes this year, I believe.
Right. Yes.
But he's geared down, and he's still going to win by 5 lengths. So yeah, Chad Brown could be holding a pat hand for the Travers.
Yeah, he got a 95 buyer. It was just announced this morning, Paul. That does not put him that far off of some of the top ones. He can improve. This is a very interesting horse. He never looked like a loser at any point in that race. And Creative Minister is no bum. I mean, Creative Minister, was sort of a wise guy horse in the Preakness, a horse that I've been following all spring. Um, Arturius, there should be more pace in the Travers. Distance shouldn't be a problem. This could be an interesting horse that, like, I don't know, total guess 6-1, 8-1. That could be fascinating, Paul, in the Travers. It's gonna be interesting to see how Arturius progresses. Any other thoughts in that race? You got to go.
Epicenter is Epicenter
Go.
4-5, by the way.
Yeah. So Epicenter 4-5. Early voting 2-1. Zandon 3-1. And the Jim Dandy come on. I'm looking at the double will pays, and it does look like Epicenter is going to be a pretty clear favorite. I have to say, I'm
Yeah.
a little surprised. I thought maybe the Chad money and the Klervich money. I mean, I think most people just recognize, Paul, that Epicenter probably is still the best 3-year-old if it weren't for some unlucky circumstances that you laid out very well last Thursday. I mean, he could have been going for a triple crown.
Yeah, and we talked about, I think, Steve Asterson probably wants to win this race pretty badly. He, as I mentioned the other night, he definitely has a chip on his shoulder about this horse, deservedly so. He held off Zandon in the Derby, and Rich Strike got the great ride by Sonny Leone, and then he didn't break well in the Preakness, and Rosario was able to save ground, but early voting was just sitting on a big race. A lot of us liked early voting in the Preakness, so yeah, he
Yeah.
very, very easily could have gone. We could have watched the Triple Crown attempt, Howard. I've seen many and only seen two finish, but seen many false starts.
Yeah, Vale Place, you better be crossing your fingers. He is not using Epicenter apparently anywhere. Okay.
Vale Place is on the Zandon train.
I listen. The Zandon. I don't. Zandon can win. Um, there's two things that I want to mainly discuss in the next 25 minutes or so before the race. Before we get into the complexities of this race, because we do have the time. And Paul, I know again you have to leave at any moment, which is absolutely fine. I want to talk about the two big Delmar races tonight, and then we will very briefly, and then we'll get into the detail about the Jim Danny. It's only a 4-horse field. We have plenty of time to talk about it. There's two races tonight that are really, really good, Paul, at Del Mar that I want to mention. Del Mar's card is excellent. You got the Bing Crosby, which is a sprint, and then you have the San Diego Handicap, which is a prep for the Pacific Classic. Very quickly, I want to talk about the Jim Dandy. I'm actually looking for the Bing Crosby. There is one scratch in the race, and this is the first I'm actually seeing scratches. The one Desmond Doss, which I think was that Pete's long shot pick? I think it was, if I recall. I think Pete liked Desmond Doss on the show Wednesday in the Bing Crosby. But what was your thought in this race? I tweeted out. We talked about Shaz, my top pick. Paul, we thought he might be lower. The 7-2. There's no way this horse is 7-2. Remind everyone who you liked in the Bing Crosby, if you recall, in this race. I think you had the 9 American Anthem, correct?
American Theorem, yeah, I like American
Theorem,
Theorem a
excuse
lot
me.
here. Yep, I
Yeah.
like American Theorem a lot here with Principal Carlo second.
American Theorem won nicely last time. The Triple Bend upsetting some horses here. You think the turnback's going to work? The outside post. There's a fast enough pace. And you like George Papadromo as an underage trainer.
And the horse really. I caught a work today, a replay of a work today. He's really, really working well. So the layoff shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, and you got Principe Carlo, who is the 5 horse, I believe, in second.
Howard, I'm going to jump,
The,
and I will hopefully hop
yep,
back on.
yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so Paul's going to jump off here. I'm going to go ahead and keep talking about this race, and then we'll take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. I got to pay the bills also. Um, the horse I love in this race, again, this is the Bing Crosby tonight. We're just going to briefly talk about it. Is Shaz? I think Shaz is a future superstar. I really love the way this horse has been working. He's, by the way, been completely outworking Country Grammar in the mornings. I've seen 3 workouts. I love everything I've seen from Shaz. He's 7-2 morning line. I would not be surprised if he goes off the favorite in this race. We'll see. Costs 1.1 million. The other horse I'm using is Drain the Clock, which my esteemed co-host, neither one of them really liked. I think Drain the Clock can wire this field. He's very fast. I think he needed his last start. He was horrible in Dubai, but I'm going to excuse that effort. That's a little bit of a quirky dirt track. Safi brings him over here to Saratoga. He's already won today with 1, and Safi's done much better this year at Saratoga. I think Drain the Clock is very live to me. I'm mainly going 2-4. The horse is coming out of the Triple Bend. Principe Carlo, who Paul likes, American Theorem, I believe. Who else was in that race? There's another horse that was in this race that I'm drawing a blank on. I'm against those horses. I do not like the horses. Or Get Her Number, who's the 10. I do not like the horses coming out of that race. I'm looking for fresh faces. I'm going 2-4 in tonight's Bing Crosby. And the other race that I just want to mention is the San Diego handicap, which I'm going to bring on screen here. Uh, the San Diego handicap is a really nice race, and I like Defunded quite a bit. I like the 2 Defunded for Baffert. I think he has a big chance to wire the field. I think this is an up and coming 4-year-old. Baffert also has Country Grammar, of course, the 8. Maybe, well, not maybe, certainly one of the best older horses in the country. I don't think he's fully cranked for this race based on workouts. I think Country Grammar wants to run a lot further than this mile and 16th. I prefer the other Baffert in this race, the number 2 uh, Defunded. I also like Mandaloon in this spot. You could say he's been a bit disappointing in his career, but this is not the strongest, grade 2. I think he fits like a glove. I think there's intent by Brad Cox. I'm going 2-3. And my long shot play in this race would be the 7 Tripoli, who loves Delmar. And if he can get back to his races from last summer, he's got a big shot. There's a lot of other nice horses in this race, including Royal Ship, but Royal Ship is 0 for 3 at Del Mar. I know Matt Bernier mentioned he thinks Pardinelli is interesting, who's in raging form. He's a bit slow right now, but he's in very good form. This is a very difficult race. Stiletto Boy's in here. You've also got, there goes Harvard, who won the Gold Cup last time, beating Defund and Royal Ship. This is a real nice race. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the San Diego handicap. That's tonight uh, in at Del Mar. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and take a short break here just for a minute. Let everyone take a breather. We're going to take about a 30-second break here. We will be right back. And when we come back, we are going to dive deeply into today's grade 2 Jim Dandy Stakes for 3-year-olds at Saratoga. Hang tight. We'll be back in approximately 1 minute with detailed analysis of the Jim Dandy Stakes. Thanks for joining us here on episode 163 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Welcome back to the HHH Racing Podcast, episode 163. We are live here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon covering the Vanderbilt Stakes, who was just won by Jackie's Warrior in a hammerlock down the stretch. Very impressive. 109 and 3 for Jackie's Warrior, knee deep in snow, finished second. And now, upcoming in approximately 20 plus minutes, we have the Jim Dandy Grade 2 restricted for 3-year-olds. $600,000 on the line. This is a prep for the Travers Stakes next month. They're going a mile and an eighth today. Again, thanks for watching the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. We have an incredible amount of people watching right now on YouTube and on Twitter across the world. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I do have a co-host with me today, Paul Halloran, who is intermingled with some family engagements during this broadcast. He was on just a while ago. He will be back on later during this broadcast. We're going to be going to 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We're going to cover the Jim Dandy Stakes like a glove. Again, for those of you just joining us, we have many things to talk about. On the bottom part of this screen, you can see my email if you want to contact me, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Also, on the bottom left on my name tag, you can follow me on Twitter at hkravitz. I believe I'm an excellent follow. Been very active today. I was at Saratoga last week. I send out a lot of great pictures and video, etc. Let me take off the banner at the bottom of the screen because we are back now. So let me put up another banner that I wanted to show. There we go. That's the banner that I wanted to show. And I also announced this morning on Twitter, I'm very excited to say this. Next Wednesday night, right here on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, the fantastic, great, personable, I can't say enough great things about this guy. Perhaps arguably the best race call announcer in the history of the game, Tom Durkin, will be right here on the HHH Racing Podcast live. It's not a taped show. He will be here live to answer your questions in the live chat, talk about his career, and talk about the Whitney Stakes next weekend. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday. If you are new to the show, please make sure you subscribe right there on the bottom right hand of the screen. Hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the notification bell. That'll tell you when new content will arise on this channel. We'd really appreciate it. And also, smash that thumbs up button. We'd also appreciate that as well. Again, because we have a lot of people watching and perhaps some new people, you can also listen to the HHH Racing Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Anchor. And I also have a race day blog. Go to patreon.com. It's a very inexpensive. It comes out on Saturdays. The race day blog already today has hit with two exactas, a trifecta that paid $940 some dollars, I believe, and has had a bunch of winners already. So if you're not familiar with the race day blog, highly recommend, ladies and gentlemen, you check that out. It's inexpensive. It's profitable. It was almost 4 pages today. Recommend you check that out. Before we get to the PPs and get into the Jim Dandy stakes, we have a few comments here. Let's see what we've got here. Stan Dryden's here. Stan from Arkansas. How you doing, Stan? Thanks for joining us today. Jim Pilars is here, who's also contributed to the show. He thinks Senor Buscador, the Todd Fincher horse, is interesting as a price underneath the San Diego. Uh, Jim, I will say that I looked at that horse carefully. If there was a lot of speed in the race, I'd actually would be interested in him underneath. The problem is I don't see a lot of speed in that race, and it's just I don't think he classes up. But he's gonna be a big price. So if you're gonna use Senor Buscador tonight in the San Diego gym, good luck. He's definitely gonna be a price. Bittersweet is here talking. He's a great guy. I'm assuming you're talking about Tom Durkin, not me. But you know, if you're talking about me also, that'd be nice. But I'm sure you're talking about Tom Durkin. Bittersweet. I've met Mr. Durkin in person for the first time last weekend. Great guy. He took us on a tour of the National Racing Museum in Saratoga. He will be here again. How many opportunities do you have to ask Tom Durkin live questions? You can do it right here on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. I'll be creating the show and sending out the link and all the information. But again, you don't have to wait for the link. All you have to do is hit that notification bell at the bottom of the screen. All right, let's get into the Jim Dandy. Julio, Julio Larucci. Julio, thanks for joining the show. I don't believe I've seen you in the chat before. So, Julio, thanks for joining us. If this is your first time, greatly appreciate it. Continue to watch and join the show. Let's get into the Jim Dandy, guys. Now, as I go to my phone and check some odds here, I see about 22 minutes to post. Epicenter right now is the even money favorite. You've got early voting is the second choice at 2-1. Zandon 5-2. Tawny Port, who really is getting short shrift. He's a nice horse. He's just not as fast as these other monsters. But Tawny Port right now 6-1 on the line. Let's get into this race right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the Jim Dandy in detail. And I'd love to hear everyone's opinions, comments in the live chat. Please also feel free to banter back and forth. We like to have nice, appropriate um, language and arguments uh, on our live chat. We can bounce ideas off each other. I'm going to take a quick drink here. Excuse me. All right. So we like to hear your comments. I see also we got Young Bosses here. Young Boss, thanks for joining the show. Let's go through this very small but elite field in detail. Number one, again, here's the conditions. It's of course for 3-year-olds. $600,000 is the purse, mile and eighth, of course, on the dirt. Western River is scratched. You got a Forest Field, Epicenter. There's not too much to say about Epicenter. I think Sunil puts it about right that he is the class. I think he meant horse there. Is the class of the race. He's 3-2 morning line. Currently, even money favorite. Listen, all this horse has done in his career is run well. He's won almost $2 million, 7 for 8 in the money lifetime. His only stumble lifetime was his first ever start as a maiden. Um, Second in LeCompte, won the Gun Runner, first in the Risen Star, first Louisiana Derby, was the soft favorite in the Kentucky Derby. And if it wasn't for a crazy result with Rich Strike, he would have won the Kentucky Derby. And then, some say he got unlucky in the Preakness. Some say he didn't like the ride in the Preakness. Um, comment comment to me what you thought about. Let me go. Let me do it like this. Comment to me what you think about the Preakness. Was it a bad ride by Joel in the Preakness? Was the horse maybe a little bit over the top? I mean, he broke. Let's watch the start of the Preakness. We're not going to watch the entire race, but again, let's watch the start of the Preakness. You got Epicenter is the 8. Early voting is the 5. Again, here's early voting. Here's Epicenter. I don't think. Let me go full screen here. I don't think Joel didn't try to break. Now, if you watch carefully, I mean, he is asking. It's not like he's sitting. He just didn't quite have the early speed for whatever reason. And then disaster strikes here in about 3 or 4 seconds when he gets pinched. See, this horse comes in and this horse comes over, and boom, he gets pinched right there. Meanwhile, early voting is sitting a perfect trip on the outside, and Epicenter, of course, we all remember, is back here. Now, to me, I thought Joel gave him an excellent ride after this point. He saved ground the whole way. Here he is on the inside. You see Epicenter, or excuse me, early voting here gets the jump. Epicenter is on the inside right here. We all know what happens in this race. Got a very clean run up the inside, but just early voting got the jump on Epicenter. And early voting is a very, very good horse. You cannot take anything away from Epicenter right here. He's by Gun Runner. Here's, excuse me, early voting is by Gun Runner. Here's Epicenter coming up the. I love this move. Do you see this move right here? He sort of comes over. He doesn't cut him off, but he came over, and early voting wins that race in impressive fashion over Epicenter. Again, I'm not taking anything away from early voting. I thought he ran very well. What is Epicenter going to do? That's the big question that everyone needs to ask themselves in this race. I go ahead and go this way. What would you do if you're Joel Rosario? All right, you're Joel Rosario, you're Steve Asperson. You've got the rail now in this race. Do you gun to the lead and take it to early voting? I can see that scenario happening. I do not think that Irad Ortiz, it's Irad on early voting, right? Yeah. or sorry, it's Jose Ortiz. Excuse me. I do not believe Jose Ortiz on early voting would get into a speed duel with Epicenter if Joel decides to gun to the lead. Again, we've talked about this many times. This is not the end all be all. The Travers next month is the race that they all really, really, really want to win. And this is just a prep. That being said, there will be 3-year-old of the year voting on the line later in the year. This is $600,000 race. I don't know if these horses are super duper cranked, but they want to win. So, what is Epicenter's best chance to win? Please comment in the live chat. If you were Joel Rosario or Steve Asmussen, do you want early voting just to go ahead and clear in front of you, and you just sit to the outside, just like Jackie's Warrior did, and be comfortable? Or if you're a fan of Epicenter, would you prefer to Joel Rosario just a gun up the inside, take the lead? I don't think early voting would press him too hard. I think early voting would probably just sit. What is the best chance of Epicenter to win this race? What is your strategy? It's going to be very interesting to see what Joel Rosario does on Epicenter. Again, breaking from the rail because Western River is out. Let's talk about, I'll go ahead and leave myself on the screen there as I used to. Let's just go right in post position order. Tawny Port is a nice horse. I loved him in the Ohio Derby. He won nicely. He closed very well in the Kentucky Derby, although a lot of people did close well in the Kentucky Derby. Um, he just seems slower than the rest of these, and the pace is not going to suit. I think Tawny Port's a nice horse. I think this is a very difficult spot. I do not think he will finish in the top two, but it's a small field. He's going to get a clean trip. Let's bring up what Joe Metka. Joe Metka is an excellent handicapper. Joe was with me on the trip last weekend in Saratoga. He's won many a contest. He believes early voting is going to go to the lead. He wants Epicenter to sit right off of early voting and beat Zandon to the first move. Do not get in a speed duel. Joe, I completely agree with you. I think early voting is going to clear off, and I think Epicenter is going to come around and sit just off. That would be my guess. Ross Blacker says if Epicenter loses this race, he doesn't think he's going to win the Travers. I'm not sure, Ross, what you mean by the not buying it. I'm assuming, I'm actually, Ross, you have to clarify your thoughts there. But um, I think a lot of people are expecting Epicenter to win this race. Let's go ahead and talk a little more about the other two horses in this race. Here's early voting. 8-5 morning line. Early voting right now is currently, as I look at it, currently 2-1. I'll tell you what, I got to put myself back on screen. Hold on just one second if I can actually do it here. Here we go. Early voting 2-1. Feel free to completely disagree with me out there. If early voting is 2-1, to me that is a huge overlay. That is an under bet horse. I mean, early voting, I thought could be the favorite in this race. You've got a horse that could be very easily controlling speed. Like, give me a scenario in which early voting does not get a great trip. I don't see it. Either Epicenter is going to gun and early voting is going to sit perfectly on the outside, or Epicenter is going to let early voting go to the lead, and early voting is just going to be on the, at a fairly slow pace on the lead. I mean, to me, I don't know if the odds are going to change. I'm sure they will. We still got um, about 10 minutes to post here. Early voting at 2-1. Uh, Again, please comment in the live chat. That seems crazy to me. I think, my personal opinion, Epicenter should be 4-5. Early voting should be 6-5. Zandon 2-1. Tawny Port 12-1. That's what I think it should be. So these odds are surprising to me right now. Again, there's plenty of time. Perhaps my good friend Matt Miller will be putting a win bet in and might change uh, the uh, the odds of the race on the tote. I think Joe Mecca and Brad Anderson have some idea what I'm talking about. Um, anyway, let's get back to the PPs. Early voting is very good. We just saw him win the Preakness. He almost won the Wood. He keeps getting better and better. He's been working well. I don't think distance is a problem. There's a lot to like about early voting. I don't understand the 2-1 odds. I believe, and I don't want to misquote myself. I believe on Thursday I went 4-2 in this race. Um, I might have gone 2-4. I know that the 4 and 2 are definitely my top two choices, but I'll just say on record right now I'm going 4-2 in this race in the Jim Dandy. Let's talk about Zandon. I'm not going to show the Kentucky Derby. Zandon has been a horse that I have always loved a lot. His bluegrass win, I thought, let's watch this. His bluegrass win was really impressive. Now, the horses coming out of this race have not done real well, but Zandon is the 4. You're going to see him on the inside. He's in the blue right here. He makes this really nice right. Sorry, he's right here. Makes that nice move, bullies his way to the outside, and absolutely blows by Smile Happy. And to me, going into the Derby, he was my top choice. I loved this effort by Zandon in the bluegrass. I thought this was super impressive. No negatives at all in this race with Zandon. Now, what happened in the Derby? Nothing happened. He ran a great race. Flavian Pratt gave him the best ride possible. If you liked Zandon in the Derby, I don't see how you can complain. He got an absolutely perfect ride. He flattened late. I don't know what to say. I was a little disappointed with Zandon late. I really thought he was going to go by Epicenter. He never did. Rich Strike also went by him. He finished third. I was slightly disappointed with Zandon. He can easily bounce back in this race. He needs to be up closer, in my opinion, in this race. I don't think they'll be going too fast, but he needs to be up closer for a chance to win. Zandon has a big shot in this race. Again, comment on this on the live chat what you think. We've got Iscar Quintero. Hola, ¿qué tal, señor? Thanks for being here, Iscar. He likes Epicenter with Joel Rosario in the saddle. Iscar, uh, good luck to you in today's race. We have Fernando's here. Fernando's going with early voting. Fernando, I agree with you. Um, Now, Ross brings up a good point. He says if voting clears and goes 47, the race is over. He's not going 47, Ross. I would be shocked if he goes 47. Again, some people are there's 4 minutes to post, by the way, in the race. So I don't know if Paul Halloran, my co-host, will be back or not for the race. Let's talk about race flow here. If you are a fan of early voting or even Epicenter, they need to show some pace here. You do not, I've talked about this a lot on the show. There's no reason for Epicenter, early voting, whatever, to go 24-3, 49-1. If the pace is slow, all you're doing is bringing in Zandon and Tawnyport closer to you in the race, and that helps the closers, even though they're going slower. In my opinion, was ever on the lead, I'd like to see 23-4, like 48-2, somewhere around there. An honest pace, but not a blazing pace, maybe 48-1, somewhere in that area. They should go. If they you got to get Zandon off the bridle a little bit. You want to get Tawnyport off the bridle. I think they need to be aggressive early, not go crazy fast. They're not going to get into a speed duel here in the Jim Dandy, but they should set honest fractions to have the best chance to win. Zandon can absolutely win this race. I love the horse. I just don't like the pace setup today, and I think the other two are slightly better. We'll have to see. I do not, just for full disclosure, I do not have Zandon in my pick five. I have early voting and Epicenter both as A's. That's it. I want to take a stand here. I did not want to spend too much money on others. It just didn't seem to make sense to me to do that. So I've got only Epicenter and early voting. Those of you have Zandon and or Tawnyport, good luck to you. I hope they win for you. It's going to be a fantastic race. Let's take a look at some comments here before we bring on one of my co-hosts is going to be joining us. So we got a lot of new people here. Charles Sherrard. Charles, good luck with Tawnyport. I believe you're new to the show. Charles, thanks for joining the show. Fresh horse. He thinks the others might need to start. It's a good point, Charles. That horse has recency. Let's bring in my one of my great co-hosts here is going to join us here for the Jim Dandy from Maryland, Pete Visco. Pete, are you ready for the Jim Dandy? Who do you like? We got about a minute to post here.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I think it's sort of race dependent. I think I liked Epicenter on the show, but I think it's probably if early voting gets a clean, relatively easy lead, I think he wins. And I think if they hook up, then Zandon can win. So I think it's pretty spread out. I think it's pretty even, in all honesty.
Pete, are you watching the Fox? Are you watching on TV on Fox? You want to ask just real quick?
I have it on, but I think I'm behind because I'm streaming. So I still have 2 minutes to post. So I'm
Okay,
probably
so
behind.
interesting. I'm actually streaming also through my through my cable channel. I'm actually ahead of you, so
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and commentate. Pete, I don't know how far behind you are exactly. Again, this is the tricky thing with doing these
Actually,
shows.
let me bring it up on my computer and see if it's.
Yeah, bring it up. If you can bring it on your computer on Fox, we should be about in the same place. That would be fantastic. By the way, Pete, are you ready for this? We have 245 people watching live right now, only on
I see
YouTube.
that.
That does not include people watching on Twitter. So thank you everyone for watching the HHH Racing podcast. This is a fantastic YouTube channel. If you're not familiar, please subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. We have shows every week. Next week, Pete, as I announced, Tom Durkin, probably the best racetrack announcer in the history of the game, will be right here, 8 o'clock Eastern Wednesday. Your final choices again in this race, Pete, and how do you see the race flow developing? We just finished talking about it before you popped on here.
Honestly, I mean, I think early voting goes to the lead. I think Epicenter sits just a little bit off, but I think, like I said on the show the other day, I think he has to make his move at the top of the lane. I think he can't wait and sort of be like a length and a half, 2 lengths behind down the stretch because I think early voting's too good to catch at that point. So I think he needs to be on his neck at the turn, I think, and make his move then. And then put the heat on early voting, and then whatever happens from there, you will see who the best horse is. I think it's wide open at that point, and then Zandon can make a move if they heat up. Then I think Zandon can make a move at that point as well.
Anthony, thanks for joining the show. We got Mary Moore. We got a lot of new people in the chat. This is fantastic, Pete. This is why I love doing these live shows. We got Sonia here. Sonia, completely agree. This is a rider's race, absolutely. Coffee Black is here. He likes. Who doesn't like IRAD? What are you on the are you on your computer streaming now?
I'm waiting for it to come up. It was a little
okay
slow, but yeah, it's coming up now. Is the race going off on your side?
No. Well, again, the people at home that are watching us are about 6 seconds ahead. Right now, they're at post time. No one's actually in the gate, but they're all walking to the gate right now. Let me know when you are watching it streaming so we can match sort of our commentary.
Yeah.
So just let me know when you're on streaming.
All right, it should be
early voting,
up.
By the way, just acted up a little bit. He's just a little anxious. I mean, nothing crazy, but I'm glad there was a handler there. They're about to load Epicenter. Is that where you're at?
I have. Now? Yeah, I have. That's the two, right? Yeah. I see him.
Perfect.
I can see his
everyone
back
who's
right
watching
now.
again. You're ahead of us. You're going to be seeing the start before we do. Pete, I'm going to commentate the race. Feel free to commentate over me.
Sure.
Jump in, show that emotion, energy that I know you love to have. This is a fantastic rendition of the Jim Dandy Stakes live here on the HHH Racing Podcast. A prep for the Travers, $600,000 on the line. Tawny Port's in the gate. Again, those of you watching at home, the race is probably about going off already or will be going off any second.
No
it's
spoilers.
A great race. The great two, Jim Dandy from Saratoga. Pete, I need Epicenter early voting. Any other result will be not good for me in the pick 5. Let's see what happens in the Jim Dandy Stakes as I'm watching it. They're about to load.
That's the first time I was seeing the odds, by the way. They're interesting as well. The odds are interesting as well.
Here we go, Pete. Here we go. And they're off. Everyone broke just fine. Tawny Port actually showing more speed. Epicenter, not a great break again. This is going to be a very easy lead for early
this race
voting.
Is over.
Actually, the race. Wow, Pete's already calling the race is over. I do not like where Epicenter is.
If I like Zandon.
I
like where Zandon is.
If you like Zandon, you are in a great spot right now. And I got to say, I'm a little bit worried because I thought Zandon would be much further back. This is early voting's race to win or lose, though, Pete, right?
Yeah, I mean, would they go 24?
20.
That's
I
nothing.
just talked about it. I said 24-1. You know, I wouldn't even mind if he opened it up a little bit here. If Epicenter wins from here, he's going to be tons the best. Now he broke okay, but again, you know, he just didn't break great. He's in. Who would have thought Epicenter was going to be last going down
Yeah,
the
no,
backstretch,
no,
Pete?
this is not.
Um, again,
This is
all
why
these guys
racing
are.
is funny because you have no idea what's. I mean, you plan the whole thing out and it goes exactly the opposite.
They're all comfortable. These are exactly the fractions. Jose Ortiz
48.
just peeked back to his inside to see if anyone was there. They're all very comfortable. No one really has any excuse in this race right now.
No.
Zandon is going to scare the hell out of me because I didn't use him. Epicenter is in fourth still. Early voting, and Jose now he's scrubbing. He's asking. I think this is very smart. He's going to make them come after him, and
Pull
Zandon
away a
is
little bit.
coming
You have to pull away
after
a
him,
little bit.
as is Epicenter. This is going to be a fantastic race. They hit the top of the stretch. You got early voting on the lead. Zandon, Tawny
Epicenter
Port
looks
trying to
good.
come to the inside.
Epicenter
And
looks good.
Epicenter down the middle of the track. Early voting looks like he's in trouble. Here comes Epicenter down the middle of the track, blowing
by.
the competition. Zandon trying hard. So is Tawny Port. Early voting's going to finish last. Epicenter gets his revenge. Very, very impressive.
I wish Paul.
148 and 4, Pete, in the Jim Dandy after not breaking great. Wow, what
Great
an effort by Epicenter, Pete.
Awesome. I wish Paul was on though, just so we could dog. Because if Zandon can't win that race, he's never winning any of these races. I'm sorry to say. He just.
Wow.
I just don't think he could do it. I just don't think he's as good as them. I think because he should have.
Shocked. I'm sorry to say these odds shocked me. I thought early voting 9-5 was under bet. I thought early voting would be like 7-5, and I thought Epicenter would maybe like 4-5. I'm a little surprised. I don't know what happened to early voting. This is let's start from the top. And again, Pete, I want to do the same thing. We're only going to be on for about another 15 minutes here live. Although we could go on longer. I don't know about your situation.
I'm in the middle of cutting the grass. As you can see, I'm filthy dirty. So I just popped in for the race because I saw that the race was going off. So I figured let me jump in.
I just watched the head on. Epicenter broke fine. He's lost his speed a little bit, but maybe that's not a bad thing, Pete.
Well, Rosario, Rosario in his nature to sort of take back a bit. I mean, not that he can't win on the front end, but I think his nature is to come off a little bit more. And maybe he just figured, look, I'm not gonna wrestle with early voting around the track. So might as well sit off, let them see what happens up front. Zandon maybe went a little too much. Maybe that actually hurt Zandon because Zandon maybe used a little more than he's used to early. And he was closer than you'd expect. So maybe he's used to being maybe he's a better one runner and they keep trying to get him closer and it's not his game. I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
You weren't on earlier. Vale Place said anyone but Epicenter. Sorry.
Sorry, Vale. Sorry, Vale.
I don't know if Vale had Tawny Port, but you knew that was going to happen for him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We got Sunil. 100. Wow. Hello.
I like that.
Sure that's not, are we sure that's not Matt Miller watching there? Sunil, or I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. But 1,000 to win. Great job. Congratulations to you.
By the way, Howard, real quick, how great is it you get a race with Rosario, Pratt, Irad, and Jose? I mean, aside from maybe like Saez, that's a pretty fun foursome if you're going to have jockeys on four pretty good horses. That's pretty awesome. I didn't really look at that or pay attention to it until they just put it up.
Again, please put your comments in the chat if you want to throw hate at someone, if you want to celebrate your Epicenter win. Please do so. Some might feel like even money is value on Epicenter. Look, I'm not going to disagree with you there, to be honest.
I thought he'd be lower. He was the best horse in the Derby. He was the best horse going into the Derby. He was the best horse maybe in the Derby. He was the best horse potentially, people think, in the Preakness, aside from a crappy ride and a crappy break, potentially. So, I mean, in a short field, I liked him the best. But again, I thought the race was early votings to control. And he did, and it still didn't work out for him. So I think that just says that Epicenter is maybe just a better horse.
Yeah, I'm just taking a picture of the fractions here so we can talk about it. Again, Pete, please do the same thing in the next 15 minutes that you did last time, where once in a while, if you could check YouTube and just type in Jim Dandy, and when the replay comes up, we'll show the replay. Again.
Yeah.
I can't show the feed live, of course. So once in a while, I'll pop onto there. I'm sure it'll come on the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, let me take a look and see.
But Pete, since I know you're great at multitasking, let's just talk about let's go in order of how they finished and talk about what happened here. Before you came on, I talked about the pace situation. I would not have been surprised if Epicenter had actually gone to the lead in this race. I thought if he were to send early, I would have figured that early voting was going to sit off. And I almost feel as if that would have been okay for Epicenter. As it turned out, it sure looks to me there was a little bit of intent there. I just think Steve Asmussen thinks that Epicenter might be a little better off the lead with the target. At least it happened that way. The way he blew by this really good field, I understand he got a great trip and he didn't have to go that wide, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this horse is a little bit better off the lead. And if he's got another dimension now, look out. And when I say look out, I mean look out Breeders' Cup too.
See, I actually always thought of him as better off. I just thought he was good enough. When he's better than the field, I think they didn't mess around and they put him on the lead and just let him just go on the engine and win. But I think when there's other speed, why get hooked up with someone who you're better than? You might as well just sit back and sit off them and go by. And I think that's what the plan should be. Because I think when you get to the Travers, there's other speed that's probably going to be in there. So why not? Yeah. If you could sit right off and you can get a good trip, and you have the Tour de Jockey, who I think works better off the pace. I think Rosario's better off the pace or sitting off and making a move. So I think it's better for him in the long run. Again, if he goes to the Breeders' Cup Classic, which he's on his way to, he's not going to outspeed Life is Good, or I don't know where Life is Good's going to go yet. But if he goes there, or Flightline, or some of those other ones, he's not going to outspeed them. So he has to be tactical in order to have a chance, especially going a mile and a quarter. I don't know if he wants to be a mile and a quarter on the front end anyway.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, what's interesting is, I mean, there's going to be more speed in the Travers with Charge It and whoever
That's
else.
What I mean. Yeah.
He is clearly, people may disagree with me. I don't know. But, I mean, Epicenter is the clear favorite to me now in the Travers. Absolutely the one to beat.
Has to be.
You agree with that, Pete?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
I don't. So, I mean, if you look back and you now look at who we've seen so far, we've seen these three who are there. You see the horse from yesterday, whose name I am completely blanking on. The
Artorias.
Yes, Artorias.
We talked about him before you came on. He was super impressive.
He was impressive.
95 buyer, by the way.
Oh, it was. See, I didn't see the buyer. So that's perfect
feet.
for what was that? His third race or fourth? Something like that. It was one of those, but he's pretty
lightly raced. I'd like lightly raced. Third, maybe.
I think it might have been the third because he ran second because he had a trouble trip.
It was his fourth. He lost. He came in second his maiden race.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Watching and thinking this is an absolute monster.
You're right. Maiden, I'm thinking of the other horse.
Won an allowance race, I think, impressively, and then this one. Yeah.
And then so we've seen Zandon. Those four we saw in the Haskell. Cyberknife, what he can do. Again, I'm not sure he's at the level of Epicenter, but he's one that'll sit off a bit. Again, I don't know. We're looking at the speed. Charge It's going to be the one, I think. Charge It.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
I wonder what they'll do with early voting now, though. What do you think?
I think they'll go to the Travers.
You think they'll go to the Travers?
I think it's just a blip in the radar. I would after one race, I would be hard to believe they're not going to go to the Travers.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some other horses. So Epicenter, awesome. No question asked. I'm actually happy for the connections because this horse deserves to get that win.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the ones that finished second, third, fourth. I'm going off of memory. Zandon finished second, I believe.
Yeah.
Zandon was taken out of his game, Pete. There's no question about it. This is not a horse that wants to be that up close. Although, number one, he got a perfect trip, and number two, they weren't flying. So I think you have to be careful not making too many excuses for this horse.
He has no excuse, I think.
It's not as if they were. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Please go ahead. I think it's completely a negative for him.
It's not as if they were like. Was Irad on Zandon? That was Pratt. Sorry, Flavian.
Yeah.
It's not as if Flavian had to ask Zandon hard to get to where he got to, and then he just wasn't. He ran well. Listen, finishing second to Epicenter, there's no shame. But you said if he can't win this race, he's not going to win the Travers. I'm going to push back slightly because, like I said, I think he's better coming further off the pace and there's going to be more speed. But if you liked Zandon, I think you could say you were a bit disappointed. I mean, Epicenter made up, 5 lengths on 4 or 5 lengths on Zandon, going shorter than they're going in the Travers.
My question with Zandon is he doesn't seem to have that kick. at the end. He doesn't seem to be able to outkick Epicenter. So in the Derby, I mean, honestly, when you watch the Derby, forget Rich Strike for a minute. There's no way Zandon's not supposed to go by in that race.
Yeah,
I thought he was supposed to go by, and he can't. And again here, he had to jump on Epicenter and never really even looked like a winner. He never looked like a
yeah.
winner in this
They're,
race, and that would be upsetting to me if I was a fan or the connections.
they're showing the replay on, well, actually just on the Naira feed. Epicenter, by the way, and we'll try to watch in the next 8 minutes. Again, Pete, if it comes up on YouTube, let me know.
Yeah, I'm not seeing
Epicenter,
anything.
Epicenter actually had to steady very slightly about, I don't know, 500 yards into the race when Tawnyport came over. I mean, he wasn't really bothered, but I wouldn't exactly say Epicenter got like the absolute perfect smoothest trip at the start. The fractions, Pete, were 24 and 1, 48 and 1, 112 and 1. So they're just clicking off 24s, 24, 24, 24, and then again 24 and 2. So it was a very, sort of steady one-paced fractions, which tells you that Epicenter ran huge because he
Yeah.
closed from the back. And that final quarter, if it was 24 and 2 final quarter, from early voting to Epicenter, if you follow what I'm saying, that final quarter for Epicenter has got to be in the low 23s range,
You would think.
and doing it pretty easily. This was a gigantic effort.
Gigantic. Yeah, he was just he was a monster in this one. And again, I
Yeah.
think early voting, those are the fractions you would want. I think you were a little worried. And you said it at the top of the lane that he looked like he wanted to kick away, but he didn't kick away like a front runner who is being chased by really good horses needed to do, I think. So
Yep.
I think he left them in. I like that, Christine.
Christine, it's a valid point. I'm watching the replay on the other screen. I mean, Zandon did, Zandon did fight a little bit. It just Epicenter were just better. I don't really know what to say. Let's talk about, so Zandon, you could argue a bit disappointing. I still think he's possible for the Travers. And I'll tell you what, Pete, I think you're going to get a better price in the Travers than you would have if he had won today. So, I think Zandon could be, I don't know, 5-1 in the Travers.
Oh, I think higher
Maybe.
than that. Yeah, I mean, I think
Oh,
to
higher?
me,
Okay.
well, if you
I,
looked at it, so Epicenter's the favorite, right? Obviously.
yep. I think
Um,
Charge at least second choice personally.
I
As
think
of now.
charge it just because of that. When you see that win on your
Yeah.
page, a lot of people are
Yeah.
going to like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, you're right. Maybe because I don't. There's not a lot. It's thinning. It thins quickly when you
Well,
actually run the races. I mean, right?
I'll tell you what. I think Arturius is going to take some money. I think this is a
I think.
serious
Well,
horse.
his
I really.
connections will. Yeah, yeah, and the
I mean,
breeding.
like if you ask me right now who's going to finish better in the Travers, like Zandon or Arturius, I'd almost say Arturius. I just love his upside.
Oh,
Zandon just doesn't seem
I
the
would take him
improvement.
right now in a heartbeat.
I just don't seem to see the improvement from Zandon right now. It's a little disappointing. Let's talk about
I
the
would.
other two. We have about
Yeah,
five
go ahead.
minutes left, Pete. Let's talk about the other two. And again, I won't bother you with this. If we get it on YouTube the next 5 minutes, great. If we don't, we'll show it next week. Um, let's talk about early voting. By far, to me, the most disappointing horse in this race. By far, not even close. I really don't know what to make of it. I'm watching the replay. The
Me
fractions
too.
were fine. The fractions were fine. He just didn't fire as I'm watching the head on right now of the
Yep.
stretch here because there was a little bit of, I mean, Jose goes left-handed. Excuse me. He just didn't have the horse. I mean, there's just really,
He's just not there. Yeah, I mean,
I,
he did. If we would have mapped the race out and we said this is how it's going to go, wouldn't we
yeah,
have said early voting was the winner? I mean, if I
I,
explained Epicenter is going to be in
I would have thought so.
last, yeah, he's going to get these fractions, then I would think he's the winner. And Zandon wasn't even on him that close when they got to the lane, so he wasn't really pressuring him.
Yeah. I agree with Christine. I mean, he's a nice horse. Early
Yeah, he
voting to me
just
will definitely go. I think he'll definitely go to the Travers. I would
yeah,
not rule out early voting winning the Travers yet. I don't know what happened today. Let's see. Maybe he bled me. I don't know. Let's see what they say. But I mean, he
yeah,
gave it up pretty badly, and that's very surprising because usually when these gun runners get good, Pete, they get really good. So of everything I'm most surprised about this race, I would say it was two things: that Epicenter was in last, number one, and number two, that early voting just didn't fire. Those are my two shocking things. Any final thoughts on early voting before we talk about Tawnyport quickly, Pete?
No, I think we hit it all.
Tawny Port, a good third. Did get a perfect trip. Got
He's
a
just a
perfect
good,
trip.
but he's a good horse. Yeah, he's a good
He-
horse. I mean, he's not at the level. He's not going to win any of these, the big ones. But I mean, he's improving. He's good. He's one you'd like to see come back maybe next year too, or in some of the lower, some of those lower races. I'd be curious to see if he goes to the Travers, or maybe he would, I guess, or if like the Pennsylvania comes up a little softer. I don't know, something. I don't know what they would do with that one, but I think he's
Yeah.
just a good. Yeah, I like what he. Here's the comment, which I think I kind of agree with.
With early voting?
No, no,
Talking about early
no.
I think they're talking. I think they're talking about early voting because this was the
Oh,
comment before
okay.
that one.
Wow. Okay.
I think Sunil is saying early voting is, and also wow, Sunil throwing some major shade. I don't know about that. The horse just freaking won the Preakness over the supposedly unbeatable Epicenter. Sunil, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you about that comment. I think Truth Exposed is actually talking about early voting, which I got to disagree, guys. I think he's a grade one animal. He won a
No,
grade
he's
one.
talking. No, he just said he's talking Tawny Port.
Oh, they are. Okay, sorry, Truth. They are
Yeah.
talking about Tawny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Truth, for clarifying. Yeah, he's a grade two, no question about it. You know where Tawny Port would be really good if it. Thanks, Truth. We got it. If the race, actually, I think the race does exist. I'm not sure it's a grade race. The Breeders' Cup Marathon dirt race. I think Tawny
Yeah.
Port could be very dangerous in that race. Thanks, Truth. We got it. Pete, we got about 2 minutes. We'll show the replay of this race next week, either with Tom Durkin or on our next Thursday show when we preview the Whitney. Pete, as we close out today's live show, and I want to thank everyone once again. The viewership, Pete, was off the charts. I think maybe our best live show ever.
I think so.
You, myself, and Paul might have to reconsider our future live shows here, maybe do some more, because we got an incredible amount of viewership today, and I forgot to even promote it on the show last Thursday. It's stupid me. Any final thoughts about the Jim Dandy, or now what the Travers looks like in your mind?
I mean, the biggest thing that comes out of it for me is now Epicenter has set himself up as the clear favorite. And I'm not sure who the next one is, in all honesty. I think the second spot, and I'm just talking to Travers for now. I mean, Taba can't go in the Travers, obviously.
Oh, that's right. Why is that again? Sancho, we're not going to see Taba. He's trained by some person that's not allowed there.
That's going to win a bunch of races later today, you mean, at our Del Mar card when you get to it?
He might not be favored either. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But I mean, I just think he stamped himself as the leader for the Travers, and I'm not sure who the second horse is. And I think that makes it a little bit interesting, though. So if you ride Epicenter, if you're just looking from a gambling perspective, who are you going to have sort of behind Epicenter? And is it going to be Charge It, Cyberknife? Do you like Zandon coming back? If early voting comes back, Artorias, that's a pretty good 6, whatever I counted there. I might have miscounted, but that's a pretty good 6 right there. And I'm sure like Homebrew is one. We're going to West Virginia. I don't know if you turn the West Virginia. That's only a few weeks. That was a good horse. If he's impressive in the West Virginia, then maybe he comes back too. I don't know. What do you think going in?
Well, if he runs well in West Virginia, I think it's is that next week?
Yeah, or the 8th. What is that? When is that? I think it's or the 6th. No, it must be the 6th, August 6th.
Turnaround.
Yeah,
the 6th. I don't think so. Anyway, Pete, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Appreciate. I want to say thanks to Paul Halloran, my co-host, who was on earlier. Pete, thanks a lot for jumping in. I think this was more fun than lawn mowing. I'm assuming.
Definitely.
I'm assuming there's gonna be some lawn mowing at Saratoga, though. Coming up pretty soon with some grass races. Good luck to everyone in the late pick 5. But Pete, again, thanks for joining us. I want to again thank everyone for watching the show. Again, next week, Wednesday night, Tom Durkin right here. And then next Thursday night, I just booked a guest. I'll talk about it on Twitter later for our show next Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about the Whitney. This has been Howard Kravitz, episode 163, live coverage of the Vanderbilt and the Jim Dandy, Jackie's Warrior, and Epicenter. Get it done. Enjoy Del Mar tonight, and enjoy the rest of the weekend, everyone. Take care. Good night.
Thanks.